You can go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business and Economic Development Task Force, City of Miami Springs, Florida, meeting of Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. It's just a few moments past 6 p.m. and we have a quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to do a roll call.
Thank you. Chair Trowbridge.
Present.
Board Member Camacho.
Present.
Board Member Fernandez.
I'm here.
Board Member Garcia. Here. Board Member Milo.
Present.
And Board Member Correa.
Here.
Vice Chair Carrillo is absent. Well, I'm sorry, Board Member, we have a member through Zoom. Board Member Guerra.
Here.
Thank you. We have, at the moment, Board Member Finney is absent. Board Member Trolliard is absent. And Board Member Leonard.
Okay.
Thank you. Go.
Fantastic. All right, George, you can hear us okay?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So move to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of February 3rd, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When I just read the minutes just a few minutes ago. And under the recommendation on parking, public parking, and help me.
I'm sorry, what page? What page?
I'm on page 4,
Page 4.
item D.
Thank
And because at that meeting, we specifically had, and I guess it said copies of a mock-up parking resolution, but what I remember being was regarding improvements to the first 2 blocks of Westford Drive and also providing additional parking. And with that, the good captain over here, he had a resolution that he submitted with recommendations. And I thought that would be attached to the minutes, and it's not. It's just a very brief kind of summary.
No, that's fair. No, actually, that's nothing gets attached to the minutes that is submitted. That will go together with the agenda. So when somebody makes a public records request for that meeting's handouts, they'll be attached to the agenda packet for that. They don't really, in terms of adding to minutes, the only thing that really gets added to minutes is like voting conflict forms or anything like that. It's just a procedural thing. We have everything scanned that was submitted, and that will go with the agenda.
Okay, that's fine. The only thing, because it just described it as a parking resolution, but to me, it was much more than that with the improvements to Westwood Drive. If you're fine with that wording, I'm good with it.
Well, I mean, that's what he just explained. I guess that's not.
It's a procedural thing. We just keep the backup to that on that. But in terms of the wording, we just went with what was said in the audio. We try to capture what you guys.
All right, thank you.
Yes, it's okay.
I make the recommendation to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Max, for bringing that. The next is we have the update from City Council and City Administration. And so I know that the mayor is on Zoom with us. And so Mayor Mitchell, if you would like to open your mic, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Trowbridge. I just wanted to say I will be listening. I can't be there tonight. I am babysitting my 2 grandkids under 2 who are visiting from New York. So I need to give them my undivided attention, but I will have the phone next to me and listening to the meeting. So thank you again, all of you, for taking time out of your extremely busy lives. We greatly appreciate your professionalism and your expertise in being part of this task force.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I know you may have heard the discussion about the meeting minutes related to the recommendations, and I know you all discussed those at council. So maybe later in the meeting, if you're comfortable, we can talk a little bit about the council meeting from Monday. Great. Councilman Best, the floor is yours. Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, gentlemen. Just briefly from our meeting that we had Monday, there were certain issues that went to us for what's really holding back and everything right now is the parking study. That's like key to the whole thing that get done. so we can move forward. And then with the agency, the appropriate agency that's got it. But, as of right now, we're just kind of following you guys along and seeing what you're coming up with. So far, so good. So we'll not know until, again, for the final report. We did have a couple of good pieces of news here recently with the sale of those two properties over on Brook Square. And the Washington's gym is. Those are gone. And then also, we understand unofficial. I think it went through, but we're still waiting for the county on the Runway Hotel. Looks like that might. A little bit of movement there. But other than that, I don't have anything really definitive to say. I just got done with a high school baseball game.
Well, thank you for being here.
Councilman Best, could I ask a quick question? And this was just regarding something you just said at the beginning, and that was a parking study. Is there any idea how much that costs? Because I know the council, obviously they're looking for a grant to have that done. I'm just curious.
I don't have any definitive numbers, Max, on that. I know that over the years we've had several done, and they can be somewhat pricey. And we had to have one done for South Royal. That could be. Had to have one done for all the original reports, Dover Cole, the Cordino, and the Lambert study. It was all separate parking studies. Trouble is, if it's not right up to date, you're not going to get county agencies not going to buy it. But we'll have a slam if we don't do something definitive once the parking study is completed.
Well, and my only reason for that question is I mean, the council said they're obviously awaiting grant money to be able to proceed on that. And is that something that we need to wait on? And again, is it a $10,000?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the manager had indicated that that parking study would be done. What did we say? August, when?
We requested a grant from the TPO, Miami-Dade County TPO, which has a very good chance of getting approved in the next few weeks. So we'll have official announcement probably in May about getting the money. But we asked for it's $80,000. There's a 20% match, so the grant will be for $64,000. The city will put it together 16,000 or whatever. Let's say it's 90,000, a little more. We have CITT funds that we get from the county that we use for parking studies. So once we get notification in the next 2 weeks that it's going to go, we're going to start working on an RFP, get a company, and come up with a scope of work and all that. And an RFP and come up with a company for the actual stuff. And our plans are, and I discussed this with the mayor, is that do meetings with council, with the company that's selected. And I also told that I'd like for them to come to you, one of your meetings too, so they can discuss about the scope of work. And that's all going to be for the CBD downtown district.
Thank you. That's very informative.
Mr. Manager, while you're up there, is there anything else you would like to add from administration?
Just echoing what Councilman Best said about the two properties that sold, Cabot's church property and Jim. We were in contact with the architect for the buyer, and their plans are to refurbish, renovate what's there.
Okay.
Going to do in development. So they said they would have, they're sending me a conceptual plan for the Hope Square property probably in the next 4 weeks. And we should be getting something on the other property in the next couple of weeks. So,
Manager, what's anticipated? Yes.
for both.
No, we know the Adventists, you said that they plan to refurbish that. But what do they plan to do with the gym?
The same thing.
Oh, just
Same
keep
thing.
it.
Oh, they're gonna fix it there.
Okay.
I knew the Evans property, we can't really tear down, build, not enough room to provide outside park. at that site. So whoever purchased that had to refurbish it there. The Hope Square Gym, although it's a larger property, it's tough to get something there. We've had some people come to us with different ideas when they do their calculations and all that, it's not enough room. So, what they decided to do, this one is also ready to consider. We also have one more property in the gateway district, this one over for sale, which is the farm building on Canal Street. And we also have a property outside the gateway district, on 4 Points, Canada, if this one on the market goal.
One other question regarding the parking study. Is there any way that maybe the county has a contract that we could piggyback off for that type of service?
Well, that's
Expedite the
Once
process?
we get the grant, that's one of the things we're going to look at. Depending on the grant requirements and all that, we can piggyback.
Thank you very much. Oh, and I want to, on the sidebar, I want to commend you. Coming in, you've done a really nice job of cleaning up Westward. The church is putting up the windows, the office building, picked up all the trash on the floor, and it looks like an office for a change.
We're trying.
It's something that is so, low-lying fruit that you can pick off and really start making an impact. And that's important. You don't have to wait until the final product to start making things happen. And you're doing that, and I appreciate it.
And hopefully, council has already, directed for the next budget, for more personnel, over 400, so that, get them out there and maybe have one person that they want to have dedicated to the business, to the factory, but we're trying.
I'm a firm believer, you walk the community. You really, that makes all the difference. I make a habit, and you can really see things. And it doesn't take much. When you go to lunch, walk, don't take the car. If you're going to deliver something at the post office, walk. And it makes a huge difference. The eyes out there.
Through the chair, Mr. Manager,
Sure.
to echo what you said, as Director of Finance, you have an obligation to the residents and the administration to keep the budgets balanced, and we understand and appreciate that. I also happen to know that one of the reasons you got this great promotion is you were one of the few directors of finance previously that was able to balance our budget, and we appreciate also the fact that this council has lowered our millage rate, which is astronomically high, higher than Colorado Gables and Golden Grove. Having said that, I have a question. If I'm able to convince investors to invest in some of the projects we are doing, like sponsorship, etc., then we are not subject to all these studies and expenses that incurred by taxpayer financing. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And on one more thing, since you're the city manager, there are some issues with garbage dumpsters that this city doesn't seem to be implementing, that other cities insist on, and putting code enforcement can only work so many hours a day, Mr. Manager, as you know. Is there some way that we can make amendments to the present ordinances and put these dumpsters in the entire city, including the middle school? I know this is happening. People just come in from all over town. They know that they are getting away with it in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, and they're creating an absolute mess out there. I know we have a lot of police officers that do their rounds at night. Maybe by changing city ordinance and increasing the fines to an astronomical amount, we got $500 fines for parking in disabled place. Why not get $1,000? You do that a couple of times, guess what? They're not going to come and dump their garbage here, and it creates a really bad smell. When there are I believe I walk a lot. I in Francisco with my wife and all because we have had COVID for 2 years. We walk a lot around the city. And we smell this garbage. There are some responsible businesses that make sure that the dumpsters are dumped once a day, every single day, 7 days a week, because there's food products. As we all know that food stinks to kingdom come in a 24-hour period. Is there something that you as city manager, without any direction from us or the city council can implement immediately to stop this. Other cities do it.
I know, and we have code enforcement, I mean, we go after a lot of these people that the dumpsters are overflowing. Write them up, in some cases, we issue them fines. But that's, and I don't see that, I see that in certain areas, and Mr. Brown is aware of what I'm talking about. I don't see that much in other areas, but we see them basically around the downtown area. We have some problems with some of the apartment buildings in the area, and we've been on top of it. Now, as far as illegal dumping, if we catch somebody illegally dumping, the police can take action and issue them fines. What we need is the public to help. You know, it's happening, especially if you have cameras. You need to call the police so we can get those videos, because what we do, what the police does with those, is we go, let's say it's at 2 in the morning. We can go back a day or two later or whatever, and go through our red light cameras, Coming Bridge, plus the other ones that we're putting in now, and see if we can pick up that vehicle either coming in or leaving, and get their license plate so we can track them down.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Manager. We appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing that up, and I appreciate what you said on that, and it is a problem. I mean, I've been here for 22 years, 25 years, and you know, the good news is it's winter time, so garbage doesn't smell too much. But in the summertime, believe me, I know what it's like when I get out of my car at our office building at 6 a.m., whether it's coming from the Canalway or whether it's coming from the Westwood Way, where there's garbage cans that are overflowing. And personally, you know, we get our trash picked up 7 days a week, so because we're in the food business, and you know, food rots and smells. And I kind of feel like, you know, there ought to be differences in, you know, if you own a restaurant or a food establishment, you can't get your trash picked up every 3 or 4 days without everybody within a block radius smelling it. And you know, and also about trash enclosures. You know, I'm big. You know, you drive by alleys and you see all these dumpsters, you know, everywhere. A lot of times they're overflowing. And, you know, which, and I, as you know, I sent you an email, and some of the council members that I had the email address of, you know, I just put cameras on the outside of our store, which I really didn't have before. And I'm surprised, and the commercial bank dumps, it's not commercial bank's fault, but, you know, somebody came over at 2:30 in the morning and dumped all their trash, which is rotting trash, into their dumpster, overfilling it thing on the ground, and it sat there from Friday night at 2:30 a.m. until the trash got picked up this Wednesday. So it sat there for 5 days, and it was rotten all get out, horse flies everywhere, you know, and just looked nasty. And I agree with what you're saying. And if you have, and I'll certainly start providing, you know, video. I can't capture license plates, but you can certainly see these trucks come up at, you know, why are people driving over at 2:30 in the morning? Unless it's probably a commercial establishment that doesn't have a dumpster, and they don't want to pay for it, so they're just taking it somewhere to dump it. And, you know, and I agree with you. You know, if you hit them, if you start hitting them with $1,000 fines or something, they're not going to do it anymore. So, but I mean, I do, you know, when you're in the downtown business district, I do think that's a big thing for cleaning it up. It's just eliminating all this illegal dumping. And I'm surprised it happens a lot more than I thought, just by looking at our cameras. When I come in the morning, I see all this trash over on the alleyway beside our building. Like, where'd that come from? Oh, but that's only one dumpster. I mean, I certainly have to believe it's happening in the alleyway behind our office, because a lot of times those dumpsters are overflowing too. And you know what? It's probably not the business owners. It's probably somebody else coming from somewhere dumping their trash. But thanks for bringing that up.
We've had cases where we actually have apartment buildings that take the garbage and dump it in the commercial establishment. And we've bought a couple of them already within the last few months. But we've always had a problem with big problems. You have a lot of people that go through the alleys, dump in the alleys, and all that. So we gotta work it out. We gotta get more staffing. And I know after what you sent us, police are working on it. So we need to help the public to let us know that these things happen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you.
We'll open it up now to public comment. Would anybody like to offer some public comment? We have 2 minutes to speak each. And I want to welcome Board Member Finney, who has joined us on Zoom. Welcome, Michael. Thank you. Good evening.
George Santine, my wife Elizabeth owns Twice the Street Bakery, downtown business, from Wylands. Going to 7 years, so. This time. Just look, I think in order to get stuff going, we need to get the community involved behind all these ideas. If not, you know, it's going to be very difficult for us to get it going if they don't believe in it, right? So I think today when we talk about surveys and my questions, that's going to be super crucial to get what the community really wants with the downtown and what we're going to do about it. So this is kind of my idea how we get the community to get involved, right? And not just, we have a parking situation maybe, right? And we're going to keep putting more buildings and possibly creating more problems, but to some people, it's not a problem to them. But if they feel like what we're doing is something that's going to benefit them, and then from there, they know that parking needs to be there, that's going to help get the community involved. So my idea is, and please understand that I'm going to send this, I'm going to do this to you guys. I know the budget we have, through offices here. So it's just to get an idea, the little things that are on these pictures, what I think should be, or somewhere like a destination park in the plaza, circle needs to be the heart of our downtown. And it's not. And it's there in the middle, but it's not. So I just, for idea, believe me, this stuff in here is like kind of crazy.
Don't have to couch it that much, please. Pass it out.
No, because I know later on it gets to become the.
We are taking any and all ideas. So thank you, George.
Spend that kind of money? No, but just little things that, you know, I'd love to see a statue of our founding father, Glenn Curtis, in that middle of that park somehow. I mean, every other community has it. We have the history, but we have nothing except for going to the market, to the mansion. Our plaza should have something about Glenn Curtis. I like the idea of the war memorial. Well, why not a statue of Glenn Curtis with all his accomplishments? Just little things. And then I think if we decide on the parking around the circle, which I know it's, you know, hard to believe this can happen. We've done it. I think we've done a study before, and the first page shows the parking. But there was a destination for our community to go and utilize. You're going to have, then we might have to force the hand on the DOT and the people that do the public streets and say, you know what, we have no choice. This is really a pedestrian used park. Let's do something about it. We have to, if something happens, we're going to have to come after them. So I think overall, that's my idea. I think that the center should be the circle with just little ideas that you see on those papers. And from there, we can right into westward, and things will just fall into place. From the aesthetics, some people getting encouraged to change their building, but we need to start with getting everybody in the community involved. We can't just talk about a project because some people don't care about that project. It goes to create a problem. So if this is something they like, then they're going to get behind, hey, you know what, we like this, we need parking, or so forth. So
Thank you for continuing to come to our meetings and be supportive and offer your ideas. So thank you.
And through the chair, George, I'd like to take these ideas, present it to three-dimensional, like HGTV does, because it's very hard for people to comprehend anything we discuss here. It's very difficult to be visionaries. There are only certain people in the world that are visionaries. Our founding father was one of them. He actually envisioned the city and the heart of the city. If people take the time to read, which I have been trying to do, it's amazing what this man and his planners are doing here. Other cities are emulating what we have here. Just founding father Glenn Hammond Curtis did. We just got to take what, like you're suggesting, and Mr. Nestor Suarez is here. He's got some tremendous ideas, and some of the things I have on the agenda, I think he's pertaining to that. But thank you, George. And with your permission, I'd like to try to put this in 3D format and try to get it out of the public with the help of some investors. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Public comment remains open. Anyone else like to address the board while we're here? Good evening.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening to the entire group. Thank you guys for all that you do and the commitment to the city, improving the city and the time and effort it takes to do this. So I really appreciate it. And also to Councilman Bob Best for helping to form this committee, and to the city manager who's also here. Guys, a couple of things. I want to follow up the circles, definitely the heart of the city. There's been a lot of discussion in terms of adding parking. We brought up before the one lane on Westward. I brought up in a prior meeting, putting one lane on southbound Curtis Parkway. I also put an article up on MiamiSprings.com. It's just too long to discuss it here in 2 minutes. But I put some suggestions there on how to improve the circle, adding some additional pedestrian pathways. I did get the benefit of speaking to the engineer who designed the redesign of the circle. And we discussed problems that were happening right there. You can see people making a right turn from that left lane, which is completely illegal, but people do it anyways. And you can see accidents. I got hit. I've almost been hit there multiple times at that corner. The other part was we absolutely, at minimum, need pedestrian access from the circle towards Tacos Way and Starbucks. And we're there with the engineer. Goes, look, people they're doing it illegal. No one's going to go around to the one crosswalk we have. Nobody does. So that's one issue. The other issue is talking about some ideas. I have a limited number of copies here, and I'll send this digitally. These are this is a draft ideas, but the thinking is a Miami Springs 2026 project, meaning we got 4 years before we hit our 100-year birthday. And gosh darn it, we better change some things and make this city look a lot better, in the next 4 years. And so when we hit our 100-year birthday, we've made some strides. Now, part of that is we have serious traffic on 36th Street and Lejeune Road, and nowhere do we say, by the way, there's a golf course over there. Shh, don't tell anybody, it's a secret. He's got a wonderful, restaurant at that country club. Don't tell anybody. We have a beautiful golf. By the way, it's Miami's, South Florida's first golf course. The oldest golf course in South Florida is here in Miami Springs, but don't tell anybody. Shh, secret. My goal is, gosh darn it, can we put some signs? Elegant sign. We have a beautiful, elegant sign on Curtis Parkway. It's a Miami Springs Golf and Country Club. Very high class, high end sign, not a cheap, little aluminum, very well done sign on Curtis Parkway. Imagine that all along 36th Street. And they're great places to put it, whether it's Curtis and 36th Street, whether it's along some of the bus stops, whether it's on Lejeune Road. And then there's an ask for the FDOT. As we negotiate with FDOT, as they want to do certain things in our community, and we want to say no to that, but can we put some signs and some of those FDOT signs? One, hey, Miami Springs is over there, by the way, whether you're on the 112 or you're on the Palmetto, to tell people where Miami Springs is at, but also, hey, there's a golf course there, especially when you're on Lejeune approaching 36th Street. It'd be great if it says Miami Springs Golf Course on your left-hand side. It's funny because you get off of Palmetto and Flagler Drive, way far west, there's a sign that there's a casino out east. I can get back to Miami Springs before I can get to that casino, but there's a sign off the highway to get to a casino, but we don't have signs pointing to Miami Springs or our golf course. So part of me would be help get people to the golf course. One, sell our beauty. Let's you drive up and down 36th Street, you can't tell the beautiful homes that are here or the businesses that are inside. Let's get some people to tell them, hey, this is like a shit country club community. That was one of the big pieces. The other part is beautifying our entrance to our city. There's an old, and refer to this one here, when you come into the swing bridge, there's actually a sign from the Civic Club of Hialeah. It'd be great to have some beautiful archways designed similar to the entrance to the Curtis Parkway. There was actually a design by the Miami Springs Women's Clubs in the 90s that was presented to council. Council never opted to do it, but as you would come along, let's say from 36th Street towards the golf course, imagine the towers, similar to the towers at the entrance of the Curtis Mansion, with those wooden beams overhead, a little sign, welcome to Miami Springs. That would welcome you into our community. Something absolutely beautiful, welcoming folks. And then lastly, I was inspired by this. Last summer, we were able to hit the North Carolina and move to the Kitty Hawk area and wonderful summer trip with kids. And at the Kitty Hawk Museum outside, there's this beautiful aluminum outdoor kind of, almost like a playground, but it's a replica of the Wright Flyer. Like, my God, couldn't we have a Curtis Jenny just like that? It's aluminum Curtis Jenny.
as you're coming into 36, come off 36, you're turning in between all the beautiful royal palms, right in the middle, a Curtis Jenny there. Aluminum out there where kids can get on it, a place for people to take Instagram selfies, just a gorgeous place to promote Miami Springs and the history of Miami Springs. And then to add that on, as you're going on our walking paths, you know, these stones that have messaging about, you know, little milestones that Glenn Curtis hit. Some of them just, and people don't know all his accomplishments. And it just, we are his town. We are the place that he found where he lived at. It would be just something beautiful to, and as you said, a monument for the guy. It's going to be 100 years since he built the city. There's more to hit, but my 2 minutes I'm sure are up. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Master. Anyone else like to address the board while we have public comment open? Anyone on Zoom?
I would like to say, Nestor and George, I truly appreciate your enthusiasm and what you brought today. I mean, this gets me pumped up. Seeing this type of enthusiasm and hope, this is what makes it all go forward. And this is where we have to grasp it and move forward. This is outstanding. A+ to each of you.
Here, here.
I second that. We need more enthusiasm.
Fantastic. So we'll close the public comment for now and move on to item 5. Item 5 is old business that we have carried over for the last couple of meetings. And in your packet tonight, I hope you all had a chance to see some of the questions that have been crafted by your fellow board members. And why don't we take a few minutes to kind of work our way through this. And Captain, do you want to start? I have you on the top of my package.
You do?
I do. And I think we have some questions from the vice chair. I believe she's with us tonight. And then I see Max's questions as well. And then I have one here that doesn't seem attributed. But maybe someone will raise their hand and say,
I believe actually those were compiled from when you first had a discussion on it. It was a group choice to have this.
So, you know,
Yes.
yours.
As I worded this and I sent it to Sandra and Juan, copied Eric, city clerk. Basically, my wife and I walk around here, like I said before, and we talk to people. We try to walk during lunchtime, if that's this time, but then we try to walk after 2 o'clock and talk to a lot of business people, not just the restaurants, but a lot of them. And they have given us some ideas. So what I did is I formulated these questions based on their answers, basically the questions I asked them. So one of this was the areas that women and men have stated they'd like to transfer in Miami Springs. One of the questions that the lady proposed on Zoom a couple of meetings ago was why, and that's a good question to ask the residents and businessmen, why would anyone want to open a business in Miami Springs? And get the negative as well as the positive feedback, because I'm sure they're going to point out that there are a lot of areas where people would not want to open a business here. Because I've gotten the answers, but I don't want to give the answers I got. I'd like this pre-proposal, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, and the councils to the general public, both business and residential. And now the next one is, what does the city of Miami Springs have to offer a business as incentive? We talked about that at the last meeting, to establish in Miami Springs over any other city. Now, we all are aware that many cities across this great nation offer incentives. It doesn't have to be a big financial incentive. It could be something small, because our city is relatively small, but there are other cities across this great nation that are smaller than us. But how are they enticing businesses to come here? About 4 meetings ago, I had talked to a businessman who said that there's a restaurant organization out there that actually tells the people not to do business here. And I was told to find out who this realtor was, but I can't get the information because the person doesn't want to come forward because he or she is afraid of some kind of repercussions. So we need to change that concept about Miami Springs and restaurants, not to compete with Siamo's or the other restaurants that are here, but the more restaurants we can entice here with different flavors. I'm trying to reach out to that Indian restaurant that was shut down. Maybe they want to try to look into something on Westwood Drive. I called the chairman there a couple of times. He's very busy at 6 restaurants around Miami. So I'm trying to do my little part as a retiree to try to get businesses here. So that's something that we need to really look at about the city, and I believe that came up in the council meeting about incentive, was discussed because I was here on Monday.
Board member, I just want to jump in because I want to know kind of maybe how we're going to formulate this.
Yes.
Because I think some of the basic things which would help in selection of the questions would be what type of format you guys want to send this survey out. Right? I think we had set on an electronic format, but I think before selecting, how many questions are you going to have? Is it going to be multiple choice? When is it going to go out? Are you going to use the data from the survey to put that in the report? So that would mean that you would need it done before 6 months, right? Yeah. So I think maybe if you guys establish that before selecting the questions, I think it would be beneficial when you come to the selection process. I don't know how many questions you want to have, who you want to send it, when.
Yeah, I think we discussed some of that. So if we look back at the minutes, I think, the first was shorter is better because we don't want people spending probably more than 10 minutes filling out the survey. So clearly, I think what we're looking here in terms of the current universe, we're going to have to narrow down some of the questions. I think the format was going to be electronic, but that there would be some opportunity for folks to fill it out in a paper format because not everybody has access or is as comfortable doing things in a electronic format. You have some residents that's not their cup of tea.
Absolutely, I understand that. That's something that we here at the city hall can have, like just a copy of that, and they can fill out.
Sure, we might distribute it to some local businesses as well. We can pick it up at point of sale. And then I think the third, and the board can remind me if I'm not correct, is that the goal was to really create a format that was as user friendly as possible. So it could be some yes or no, it could be some very short answer, or it could be some multiple choice, but to kind of vary the format to keep it flowing. Like if you look at the bottom of the compilation, I think these are your questions, Max, but that's a great way to start, which is tell us who you are and what you are in terms of, are you a resident or your business owner? I think those kind of set the table, and then you can move into some more of what I think Nihal was talking about, which tend to be a little bit of closed-ended and open-ended.
Correct.
Leaving that.
That way they can fill it out. I like that idea, Mr. Chairman, where you give an option, multiple choice, like Max says in his request, and I put these questions to these people and we'll have to abbreviate them, and that way they can fill it out. So we can choose the best of each person's recommendation, and whatever we decide here on the task force, how many questions, and like Juan said, all medium, we can ask the PIO Shannon to put it on a newsletter.
Sure.
And then
we can. And sorry to interrupt you. No, we can definitely, on our side, what we can do is post it on our website, post it through our social media pages, our Instagram and our Facebook pages, have it in our newsletter included. Those are some easy ways to get, even if it's a QR code to a web page that you can fill in questions. It definitely increase the number of audiences we get. But kind of what I would also, in addition of pose a question to you guys, is when you want to do this. How soon?
Soon. I think it's our top priority.
So then, if you select your top 10 or 20 questions today, if you guys can propose a date, we can get that started. Okay. I think that those are things that would be beneficial to.
Okay. So I think we can all agree that we want some variety in format. It's the top priority. And let's talk about some of the questions, because I think
sure.
You were giving us some rundown. So maybe you could tell us within your 15 what your top priorities are.
Okay, why don't we move on to?
Oh,
Sorry, before we start. I
Go ahead,
sent in my
Fidel.
questions, but I don't see them here.
All right.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't receive them. You might have sent them to Myra. And
I think, no.
no,
If you have them now, you can forward them and I'll go and I'll print them.
You have them.
I too had some early on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
These are.
I didn't resend them, but I had sent them 2 months ago.
I think you also have them with the
Early on.
document you sent 3 times.
I know, I never got it, so I don't know if you can bring it in
It's about
a different format.
my email. Okay.
Sorry for that.
That's okay.
All right, so
Would it be possible, I mean, maybe if we all took it upon ourselves and say, okay, if I take this,
pick your top 10 as
pick
well.
your top 15, rank them 1, 2, 3, and then have the.
And making sure that we add in Francisco's questions and Fidel's questions.
If we can do that, then I'll turn it
I'm fine
around.
with that. Would everybody commit to do that and have something back no later than Monday? This Monday the
Over the weekend, absolutely. One was a good
Hey,
question.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Michael.
So I'm not a survey expert, but I'll offer my view. I get a lot of surveys and I almost never fill them out when they are open-ended questions that I need to write comprehensive responses to, like most of what we are asking. When I get surveys that are strongly agree, neutral, strongly disagree, etc., I usually can quickly go through those and complete the survey in 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll do them. So part of what I think we need to be cognizant of is the structure of the survey. And so how can we take these questions and put them into a format where someone can very easily say they agree, strongly agree, disagree, neutral, etc., as a way of really drawing out responses to the issues that are being raised here. So I just offer that as someone who fills out a lot of surveys, and I almost never fill out those that require me to put open-ended responses.
Okay, good feedback.
I agree, Mr. Terry. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
I would also like to add, I think there was talk about possibly also surveying the residents, correct? Is it gonna be one survey for everyone? Or if it is gonna be resident survey and business owner survey, then you would have to select the difference.
It's different questions.
Yeah, it's just two different questions. I think Max captured it well here with, are you a resident or are you a business owner? And you can fill it out, I think, from either perspective. My concern is if we now start to parse between two surveys, then people will be like, well, I only had the one, I didn't have the other, so I didn't fill it out. Right? I couldn't get access. Sorry, Michael.
No, I was just going to say the format that Max used is very similar to what I'm describing. It makes it easy for you to respond to the questions.
I don't want to take credit for that. Actually, I went to my son and said, listen, why don't you give me a list of questions? And the first thing he said is exactly what you're saying. So.
Okay. So going back to Max's earlier suggestion, with the input of Francisco and Fidelio who previously sent questions, let's make sure we get those sent. Let's recirculate that, and if everybody can pick their top, let's say 15.
That many? Because
I think you're going to have enough diversity of opinion that you'll start to see some trends.
But rank them 1, 2, 3.
Your top 15, yeah, 1 through 15. But the goal to get down to somewhere around 10 to 12 questions, knowing that we want to give people, because when people say the survey takes less than 10 minutes to fill out, I'm more likely to fill it out than something that, doesn't either say that or seems, as Michael said, very open-ended.
I agree with Mr. Finley, and same thing he said, strongly agree, disagree.
We can do that's a Likert, and then you can also have some multiple choice, but enough variety that people are kind of bouncing back and forth.
But all the task force members, 15 times 5, that's a lot of questions.
You're gonna have a lot of overlap.
Yeah, but
I think it'll build some trends.
Then somebody's gonna have to maybe one, as a volunteer, and start through them and pick.
Take the top 15.
Yeah, I'll calculate whoever.
And then we'll
like,
come back
wait,
in April, and that'll be our
that's-
top priority to say,
Right.
here's where we were, but did we miss anything? And I think maybe you end with one final open-ended question, which is anything we didn't ask.
Right.
Okay. Close it down.
Okay. So just, I'm sorry.
No, Mr. Finn, you seem to be the questionnaire expert, dude. Is this something you think should be mailed out to residents? And I know that's an added cost if it is, or should this just be something that people have to electronically go look for?
Yeah, the tools like SurveyMonkey are so widely used. It's really convenient. We use it a lot. There's some others that are out there that are electronic, but they make it very easy. And so I would recommend that, although some people who don't have access to computers, you leave them out. So you may want to make it available. But the challenge you have is, do you mail it to every business and every resident, which can be expensive as a way of ensuring you didn't miss anybody. But when doing it by SurveyMonkey, again, you've got to have everybody's email address in order to reach them. And so I'm assuming through either your business, through Miami Springs business records, or through the tax collector's records, that we can get emails for virtually every business in Miami Springs. I think we have it on our website, by the way, at the Beacon Council. And if we don't, I know we can get access to the tax collector's records, but that would only get us businesses. It would not get us your residents of Miami Springs.
But I think Juan discussed the various avenues that you already are using for other types of communication where it could also be included.
We have a newsletter that goes out to anybody who's subscribed to our page, but there are methods of promoting the survey without them having to necessarily be a business owner or a resident. And you can just make it a QR code that links it to a, you take it and it just clicks into a website. But if you're speaking about just doing one survey and the questions maybe you might be leaving out some of the residents who don't have businesses and may not be able to answer them. So maybe that's something that you consider, or if you're going to do one, something that would be able to be filled out by both resident and business owners. But that may create a challenge. Maybe separate into two. I don't know. It's up to the boards.
If there's a QR code, I could certainly add, with a brief description at the bottom of our register receipts that everybody checking out would get one. But then again, I don't want to do something that distorts what you're trying to get either.
So why don't we rank the top 15, and if we're in discussion next month and we see that they're diverging, that more business oriented, then we can cross that bridge and decide, but I think, for now, to get one done is already been a yeoman's task. So let's focus on that because we've been talking about it for about 7 months. So
yeah.
Okay. So how do we make sure that we get Fidel and Francisco's?
I just had one too.
Okay, so you resent it and we'll try again. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna just so I can be clear, as a consensus, the board is wishing to table this for the next meeting to see all the questions available, rank their 15 best out of everyone's questions.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily table, but you're gonna update this.
Yes.
With the additional questions and then circulate it. And everybody's made a commitment to, let's hope by Monday the 7th, let's spend a little time over the weekend, pick your top 15, or if you don't see your favorite question, then, wild card.
Okay, so I just want to get a timeline for the survey so that it gets out. You want to receive the answers back, correct, as a board?
From the individuals who fill it out?
Yes, like you're going to take this information and include it into the.
I hope it'll be part of informing our recommendations.
So how long would you like for it to be active? Because I'm only asking because if we meet the next meeting, right, we're looking at
April 7th.
April, so if we have it running for a month or 2 months or 3 months, enough time to get back before September.
I think 30 days.
You want a month?
I think 30 days, because then you're into the doldrums of summer, which becomes July and August, and then, we're expected to begin putting some recommendations together in the early fall. So if we could, as soon as it's ready to launch, 30 days.
Okay, thanks.
Most people, when they get it in their inbox, if they're doing it electronically, if you're like me, you stop and you do it right then. Otherwise, it just gets lost.
Correct.
Or you open it, save it, and you go back to it. But if somebody tells me it's 10 minutes, I'm going to do it right then, because I know it's going to be less for speed reader.
That's why I wanted it less, because the less is better.
Yeah, I think, the goal will be to get that down with the 10 questions. I don't want us to miss anything.
True.
To Michael's point, we're gonna have to do our best in terms of the robustness of the questions, that we're really getting to what we're trying to get without it being overly open-ended or open.
Correct.
All right. All right, you're welcome. So everybody comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, good work. Move on to new business. Some of these are items that are proffered by members of the committee. The first one is a discussion of implementing a pay-to-park system.
This is from our last agenda preparation. I believe it was board member Garcia who was thinking of other ways to generate funds for the city in additional ways. This was just one that was asked for consideration.
Did I want to have a conversation about?
Yeah, sure. It's something I put out there for everyone to analyze. There could be a lot of exceptions to it. I know we're a small city. I know we're trying to make it attractive, but we also know that we need those funds to make it happen. So there could be a lot of exceptions tied into this system. Like for example, the first hour is free, the second hour up to the second hour. We can have residents also park for free. Employees. So there could be a lot of assumptions into this concept for now as we implement it.
So Mr. Manager, coming back to you and your discussion about the study, is this something that could be potentially in the scope where we look at other types of opportunities? I know in some municipalities, residents get a sticker and they don't pay to park per se.
Yeah.
as an incentive to, of course, invite them downtown, 7 days a week. So potentially that could be part of the,
As a follow-up to that, when we do this study, are we just strictly gonna focus on parking or other alternatives? Because there are multiple cities that they resolve the problem because of the huge capital expenditure of parking facilities. They've gone to trolleys. They have a common area where they meet, and we have the city trolley, and that would almost immediately, if we go ahead and reallocate resources on where the trolleys work and what hours, if we could focus the use of those trolleys at peak demand right now and have maybe a staging area at the country club. There's all that parking that goes unused for big parts of the day. You can have the shuttle run maybe every 10 minutes back and forth if you're having trouble. And if parking ever becomes an issue at night, you could do the same thing. So is it strictly going to be looking at parking as a solution or alternatives to the parking as a solution? Another thing that you can look at, my suggestion is, this weekend we're going to have the festival. That's the time of year where there are more people in the downtown area than any other time. And I don't think anyone doesn't come to the festival because parking is an issue. They find ways to do it. So I think alternatives are important because they could provide immediate sources to alleviate a problem that exists. So that's my suggestion. Capital is huge. We need fundraising, grants, and everything else. But it doesn't help Mr. Milam 5 years down the line to have a parking lot if we can have a shuttle that can provide some help to him in the near future. And it's just a matter of allocating some of the resources we have.
okay. So I don't know if we know that answer today, but I would assume as the scope is being developed, there's opportunities for input, so we'll make sure
That
that's.
would work really great through the chair. What Francisco said is excellent. I've traveled across this great country. And what he suggested is happening around this country right now. We have umpteen hotels around here. We can have a schedule published, hotels. Once you get the city refurbished, like the Nestor mentioned, and others have mentioned, for 4 years, plan is a centennial event. And in the meantime, we could be doing these recommendations, talk to hotel management, see if they can set up a schedule so that all these restaurants that are presently existing here and the downtown area can be visited by foreigners, tourists who come. A lot of people come here for cruises and they have nothing to do the day before the cruise.
One of the things I know I worked at the airport night, they had off-site parking for the employees. You could do the same thing for the businesses, have the employees park off-site and have the shuttle to the place of office. And that provide parking for the customers that are spending money at your business. So there's a lot of different things that can be done to alleviate a problem. So if you have the employees parking, let's say, maybe you can enter into some kind of joint agreement with maybe a church or recreational areas, the library, what have you. Find an area where the employees can be shuttled back and forth. That opens up parking for the customers that are going to be spending money at your establishment.
Mayor Marie Michel has already talked about it and addressed it through the chair about using the church facilities. So I'm sure they're looking at that right now.
Thank you, Francisco.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr. Chair, on the question of parking, I wonder if Miami Springs is the exception to free parking for, along the business corridor. I'm all over the county on a regular basis, and I just don't recall visiting any other cities where there was open and free parking. I don't know if we've looked at other communities to see if we are, unique in that regard. And by itself, you can say that's an attractive thing. It'll help bring people here and make it easier for them. But if we're the only one that has free parking, we might be leaving a lot of resources on the table and encouraging people to park for exceptionally long periods of time. And especially in business districts where normally a dinner or shopping and things like that might be a couple of hours where free parking is or some type of parking is needed. Just a thought.
That's an excellent point. We're definitely, I think, one of the few municipalities that does not charge for parking in Miami-Dade County. Patrick?
There's a lot of municipalities, it's just a recent movement that start charging for parking. You go to Hialeah, Miami Lanes, you go to even, it's areas in North Miami, there's free parking. So it's the older cities, for the most part, that have the free parking. And as the communities have developed more and more, and you've got more and more density, the Gate and South Miami, Miami Beach, it's when you start charging for parking to discourage prolonged time at the parking.
Well, and employees.
And you need to turnover. Businesses need turnover those spaces to make money.
Great, Patrick.
Yeah, one of the things we did at the Country Club and Home 19 is we build relationship with the hotels, shuttle drivers, and the concierge people. And to this day, we receive on average 5 to 6 shuttle dropping customers to the golf, to the restaurant to have good dinner. And what we did is we invited them with their concierge services for dinner, give them a tour at the restaurant and the lobby. And I tell you that works. And these drivers, when they pick up the passengers at the airport, the passenger, the first thing they say, where's a good place to go eat? Where's a good place to go hang out? Whatever, have a drink. Is the golf course around here somewhere? What you do, you build a relationship with the drivers, the hotel management, like we have a great relationship with 5 hotels. I was personally at Country Club and Home 19, and it works. For the drivers, they take the customer, they say, hey, we have a great restaurant, Home 19. They drop them off in there, and then they call them, they can pick them up. And that happens at least, the Country Club and Home 19, at least, I would say, for the golf, I would say about 5-6 times a day. For the food and beverage, the restaurant, and probably about, we get on average about 25 a week. So I think that's something we get build relationship. I know that our management, my son goes to these hotels, personally distributes some flyers, tells them where we are, what we do, the menu, and we give 15% discount. And it works. So that's just what I said. But, yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the item that kind of morphed into a couple of other things without any final thoughts?
No, that was it. That's the whole idea is to be able to collect funds and have exceptions and then work around it.
The next is item B, which is Northwest 36th Street improvements. So I'm not sure if that came from the discussion from last meeting or if someone wanted to opine specifically on that.
Sure. I think I brought it up the last meeting, and I sort of said is 36th Street, that's the first impression that the outside has of us. And I don't see anything about Miami Springs. You see just 36th Street, and most of the buildings are not in good shape. A couple of them are great, some hotels and all that, but most of it is not. And then I think that's the first impression, but I don't know hotel business. First impression, the lasting impression. And when they come in there, 80% of the travelers, international travelers within the US, what they see, 36th Street. It doesn't look that great. I think it's important that we address that 36th Street. So,
I want to add to that is necessary to come up with some great ideas for 36th Street. And I think we have to tell people driving by what's inside.
Yeah, I'll echo what Max said earlier. I appreciate the work that you have done, Esther, and even using the word badass. Okay, so why don't we keep that item as one that is ongoing for our continued discussion? Because obviously that has a lot to do in terms of first impressions. We use the word gateway, talk around, entering from Hialeah into the city, but that is also a gateway. Okay. And then Captain, I think item C was your item.
yeah, but based on that other item on 36th Street, this is, I believe I presented this earlier. This was sent to me by one of our business owners about 36th Street, and I don't know if it got any traction, so I'd like to pass it around to you all again and just to briefly look at it. Since it was something I requested from the business owner and time to write a little dissertation here.
Yes. He is not the business owner, just one correction. He works with UTD.
Ah, yes. I'm sorry.
Your survey, good fund. Okay.
He has a point though, because.
Yeah, he's actually been here, I think, and spoken twice during public comment.
Right, because then what Mr. Camacho mentioned about the hotels. I've seen that for 47 years and I flew around planet Earth. It's true in every city. That's why I mentioned it more than once. I've gone to restaurants I dine at and tell them exactly what you said. Go talk to hotel concierges. You give them a free meal. Give the concierge a free meal.
No, we do, we actually do
You
that
know
all the time.
why? Because they are going to come and you invite them with their wife or husband during lunchtime or something or evening when it's not that busy. They will remember those little things and they're going to tell their customers. First thing we ask, crew members ask, if you're going to a new city, Bob knows this, he was in the airline business. You travel around the world. What's there to do? You got to get these drivers of these limos and these vans to talk about our city.
I
And
know,
what
but
Lester said is very true. Not only on 36th Street, I propose, and that's what we're going to get to next.
another example, the Pan Am Training Center, gentleman
Yes.
owns the training center that simulators. They have, on average, like, we did the tour, so the 24-hour simulators are based.
Yes.
Captain. And a big relationship with them. And we give them a little bit of sampling of our food, sandwiches and stuff like that. Took it for as a perceived stick-in experience. And they did. Now, on average, we have American Airlines, whatever. We have now on average about 30 to 40 lunches to go.
You got two of the Boeing and Airbus.
Exactly. Both of them, actually. So, and it works. It's just building relationship.
Relationship,
That's it.
marketing,
Like you
techniques.
said, you invite the chief concierge and his wife, you invite the driver and his wife for a nice meal, a glass of wine. And I tell you, 99% of the time, they recommend it.
Before you know it, the city is going to be flourishing. This was going on 50 years ago when I was there, right? 96% of my entire street, you want to drive on pilots. Every six houses.
I tell you, I built two relationships with two captains based out of here, American Airlines.
I'm sure.
They send, I mean, flight attendants, the passengers, I mean, it's very, very good business, good relationship.
Absolutely.
I know you're aware of that.
Yeah, marketing is the key. And you give a little bit, you give a little, you gain. And Max can do a tremendous amount of business here as a grocery store, Siamos, all the restaurants. I am absolutely convinced we can thrive again if we do something and do it soon, especially before the next 4 years. As Councilman
Chair.
Vasquez said at the council meeting, 4 years is going to go fast. I don't know where 20 years of my life has gone, and the next 4 years are going to go really fast. So this administration and this council and we, all of us, have to wake up and do something really fast.
Thank you, Captain. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, so these are some great, tactical marketing recommendations that's being recommended right now by the captain and others. These are things that are designed to help bring more people to the businesses that exist in our community. And I think once we get to the point of writing the plan, a significant component of it ought to be marketing tactics that we can use to drive activity from all the visitors that come to this community. I mean, the airport is busier than ever right now. I was with Ralph Coutier a couple of days ago. Last night I was with JC Lascano, the head of American Airlines here in town, and the numbers are off the scale. And so the question is, are any of those folks who are dropping into our community, are they making their way to Miami Springs? I don't know the answer to that, but we should certainly find out as a part of the efforts that we put in place through this structure, right? And in fact, it might even be relevant to have some questions on the survey to the businesses. Are they seeing out-of-town visitors, and do they have a way to even identify if they're out-of-town visitors that are coming here? Does the big red open top bus come to Miami Springs like it does to a lot of other communities? to drop off tourists to spend their money at our restaurants and shops and everything else. And those are the kinds of things that can be orchestrated once we put together a plan to do it. It might cost a few seed dollars, or it might just cost a relationship with the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau or other organizations that help set this stuff up. But I think these are great ideas to be a part of a marketing plan that is a component of what we ultimately recommend back to the community for action.
Thank you, Michael. I'm cognizant that Francisco had to leave, so we have lost our in-person forum, so we will not be able to take any official actions or votes, but the conversation may continue. So going back to Captain's memo from Jeffrey Garcia, we'll include that with our ongoing discussion related to the 36th Street improvements, and I think could probably have a nice conversation about public arts in the public arts district that he's recommending.
Yes.
So Captain, item C is yours.
Yes, C, item C,
Please.
I already talked to the airline I work for, and I talked to some people, not officially, just fishing around, and I talked to some friends at American, different airlines, and they are willing to entertain the idea of trying to sponsor certain teams for the city. We are the aviation, and I'm doing some research on my own so I can formulate letters with the permission of this board. We can discuss it, so we can send it out to the executives in the airlines to get their sponsorship with the permission of the city manager and the city council. Like many people have said, where is the aviation in the cities? We are a historic city, and we were founded by an aviation pioneer, and there's nothing. We don't even have his statue or a name or an airplane. I'm helping Mr. Eric Ritchie, who behind home is the chairman of Parks and Rec. He approached me a few months ago, actually, about airplane, the Eastern Airlines L1011 that they're working with, and I thought he wanted to invite me as to the grass area they're going to get. And I told him I'll sponsor it. I have no problem because I'd love to see something. And I said, what I advised him to do first is to get the permission of Eastern Airlines, still as a new refurbished Eastern, but the old timers are still around. I know some of the old retired pilots there, and maybe they volunteer to help with the financing of that project. But I'll give the story to the city manager.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to mention to you that there is a group, the Eastern Forum group, that made a presentation to council a few years ago, and some of the survivors were here, and we gave them a piece of land, the triangle right across the driving range, the golf course, where they had a beautiful memorial for that. The problem they're having, see with airlines, they thought originally that they would have a lot of support from airlines. And the last time I talked to them, they're having a lot of problems raising money. So if you have any contacts, I can send you the contact.
Please do, Mr. Manager.
You can talk to them and see if you can help them out. Because that's, I mean, some of the plans that you said, right up the city, it's over about an airline.
Yeah.
So that would be something that if you can help them.
Of course,
get
yeah.
some money for that.
Eric is my name, but he lives in Grenada. I live on Dual houses back on to each other. I talked to him as well, and he will send me that information, Mr. Manager. Thank
Okay.
you.
I think that this is very important, just like Councilmember Best, the work you're doing with the War Memorial. And, you know, if we don't keep this, and it is true, I've really never thought about it, how we really don't have anything about our, you know, our history here that much. And if we're not continually talking about it, or if you don't see it, which is what we're talking about, you forget it. And so that's why I'm so glad we have these war memorials, so we don't forget. And the same for our history. You know, I think that's important too.
Yeah, the bricks is a fantastic idea you all came up with, because my family has done for the people bricks on the golf course, and Eric approached me on the marine thing. I was in the Navy, so I donated that. I'm going to donate to yours, and I also heard the Historic Society, because we have to get involved. Not that I want my name on it, I'm just putting my family's name. It's just that it helps them. And when people see the enthusiasm at this festival, where they're going to sell these bricks, hopefully, and thank you, Mr. Marlon's grocery store, they're raising a lot of funds. And hopefully with what we're trying to do, we have to move fast though, because I know time is of the essence to try to get this city into the limelight. As Mr. Suarez said, secret. We can't keep this city a secret anymore. We want to maintain that old part of Miami Springs, but I also agree with Vice Mayor Jackie Bravo. She has brought up the circle. Why don't we have something like we had before? The historic creation of, again, Mr. Glenn Curtis. This Pueblo design was his. I know that because I used to own a Sierra apartment hotel, and then the other hotel, which I've had discussions with certain people who are thinking of bringing that hotel from the nursing home, bring it back to a hotel and make it famous like it used to be one time. And we do it. And I negotiated contracts with United Airlines and Marriott Hotel chain. If we can work with this, I can talk to the people who are now communicating with Marriott, because that's our major hotel now since United gave up Hilton. Used to be part of it. But so the possibilities are tremendous. It's all a matter of marketing and contracts. It's really recognized, and Mr. Kamotra has already done and proved.
To add to this is that you guys are aware that we're doing the flags every year for the 4th of July, Curtis Parkway. Well, last year we did 120 of them. Each state was represented, and the people paid $70 for these flags. And we give them back the flags, and then the money goes toward nonprofit like the Women's Club, the Rotary Club, and we did that. We're gonna do it again this year. So, and then everybody, so many comments, great comments about it. It's amazing. People taking pictures from the outside. People not even from here. Wow, what is this? It's just amazing. And people are proud when they see their state with the flag. Say something about the state. It's amazing.
That's a fantastic idea, but there was some opposition to political subliminal messages that should not be. I don't care whose political parties. We should not mix political things in city property.
I agree with you that there was no message that I just said.
Yeah, well, let's not go there, but we talked about
But I just
it. It
said,
was on the inauguration of the Madam Mayor, the first female mayor, and I brought it up.
anyway, I had one person commented about it. That's the only time I
Yeah, but you had a lot of comments.
Well, you know, when you see the word Ohio, it's very subliminal.
No, other messages I didn't even know what the town was.
But this year,
My daughter says that's something to do with social media.
Captain, this year we're not gonna put any
hashtags.
nothing, no hashtag.
If you want to put hashtag, please put City of Miami Springs hashtag. That would be fantastic. Let's advertise our city.
Sure, but we said, I know it was still.
And we can advertise
people
Miami
into
Springs
it as well, but-
.com, and we can advertise Tom Curtis, who I'm going to reach out to because Nesta's here. I'm going to reach out to Tom Curtis on that survey as well. And I know, Nesta, we can count on you to publicize this survey. Thank you, sir, with the QR code.
All right, that gets us through our new business. Is there any other new business that did not make it to the agenda or that anybody wants to chat about?
I was gonna bring up the festival coming out. We never talked about it. We've been here for a few months and we knew it was coming. And I think it's something that they sell that 80 to 90,000 people show up for that event. Maybe we should have something, a table there or somebody to market the place or talk about the businesses here and all that. I think it's important. And I know us, we're doing the main bar, and we're setting up a table with our catering department and we're giving packages. And we're giving everybody 15% off, and we're giving goodies, bags, on those days. And I think it's something we need to think about, just for the next, it's too late now, but.
Sure.
So,
I don't think it's too late. We have the city manager here. I used to do that for United Airlines. We had a tent there for 5 years in a row. I sponsored it. I got United to pay for it. I used to drive the United catering truck. We had a kitchen there. I brought all the food and stuff there. So we can do it with the city manager's permission. I'm sure we can get some city workers here to volunteer. I got a bunch of United Airlines and flight attendants to volunteer. We still got a few days. I mean, tomorrow.
tomorrow's is-
I think you're an eternal optimist, Captain.
I have all of it because.
We'll table that for 2023. George or Michael, any last comments from the Zoom? Thank you. Preparation for the agenda for the meeting of April 7th. So a couple of items that we'll carry forward. I think our biggest item will be taking your homework assignment and really winnowing that into our top, hopefully 10, 12 questions, and then making a final decision if it makes sense to have one singular survey, or if we somehow see there a trend where there's one that's a little more businessy versus residential, but we'll know better when we have your all's feedback and your ideas. So seeing nothing else before us, is there I'm not sure we can take a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
So we will, without objection, stand adjourned. Well, very quickly,
Be very fast.
we're losing quorum every moment.
Real quick, just wanted to give you, guys, we can do polls very quickly. I did one this week. Simple question. What businesses would you like to see open in Miami Springs? Put up some samples of some local different businesses that we don't have here, and they had the ability to add their own. I had over 800 people participate in this. The number one winner was a Trader Joe's, Chick-fil-A, La Carreta, a CVS, movie theater, Whole Foods, Target, Walgreens, Barnes & Noble, Chipotle. So, but, we have the ability to communicate real quick, get
Sure.
quick answers.
And you said you had 800 responses in
Yeah.
what period of time?
Yeah, this is this week.
And it was a single question?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Could you share that with
I would
the
just go to-
committee?
yeah, so I'll share that, with the city clerk's office, not a problem.
Well, we're hoping that you will definitely be one of the avenues that will allow us the opportunity to share the survey we ultimately deploy.
I know coming up with it, but sometimes, certain vehicles, and I think it's more important, what do you want to get answered? And there's multiple ways to get that out. You got your survey monkeys, you got your physical poll, but sometimes it's just, a quick one question, you get a bunch of answers. And then let people digest little bites, and I can get real quick answers doing that. So through a variety of vehicles.
To the chair, Mr. Suarez, if I may, please. How about putting another question? What kind of retail stores would you like to see in Miami Springs?
And that's a fine tune of this, but yeah, there, questions like that we put.
Would you like to see dancing enterprises, like I call it?
There were some answers to that, but there were some of the jokesters that put some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yes, we can.
We had 4 actually. We had 7.7 lounge.
We have a great one now.
I know, right there, 119, and I know
16,
if somebody is, I
And
can't speak
Wednesday night
there.
is hot.
You've been there.
I've seen the videos, it's real hot.
Because we want to get the young people in here, because the city needs refurbishment with youth.
I didn't add this, and I'm sure I'll back off of this, but 36th Street's got a bunch of tourists, and there's nothing for them to do.
Exactly. We can be their place.
They need, number one, and if they need a CVS. You go someplace, anytime I go someplace, I got 3 kids, someone's got sick, you're going to the near CVS or Walgreens, we need one on 36th Street. Out there somehow.
Why not in Miami Springs?
In Miami Springs, but I say on 36th Street because I'm just going the obvious reason.
Okay.
They're gonna say I'm too close to the existing investment. I'm saying 36th Street is a whole other avenue. They got the traffic, and would make sense to us. CVS or Walgreens on 36th Street makes perfect sense. It's far enough from the ones in Doral, far enough from the ones in Hialeah.
I may be wrong, but I think somebody brought up the fact that CVS did look at the building there where the gym was, but maybe you have a point on 36th Street.
To me, 36th Street
They
is.
had a parking issue at the gym area, but maybe 36th Street, they can create.
They can service the hotel. I mean, people at the airport, people who stay at the hotels, they can easily walk through one of those.
Sorry.
And obviously the residents who.
If my insurance bought CVS, so they got a lot of money now.
What number was that?
CVS was number 4.
See?
We won't take offense to your number 1 comment. Right, Mr. Manu?
Nothing, I'm just, sharing the, as honest as
Chair,
possible.
can I say one last thing?
One last thing.
I want to thank Kevin from Dogwood Farming, right there, the owners of Doug, sitting right there. He didn't say much, but I'm sure.
Hello, Kevin.
Yeah, we invited him a couple of weeks ago.
Very shy.
To be here, and he's very prominent businessman here, just like you, Max. So, cool, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
All
What
right.
kind of business are you in, Kevin, please?
Douglas Orphan.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I've used them.
Everybody needs a plumber.